I need your help, please subscribe my channel. The message came through at 6:47 a.m., just as I was fastening the last button on my shirt before heading to work. Spending the week at Dad's. He's not feeling well. Don't worry, I'll keep you updated. Love you. At the top of the thread was her name, Emily Redart, beside the tiny red heart she'd added months earlier, back when everything between us still felt unbroken. I stared at those two words, love you, and felt a faint pressure behind my ribs. Her father's health had always been fragile, and it wasn't unusual for her to visit him for a few days. But a whole week? That was new. Still, I didn't question it. Not right away. You don't start a marriage by assuming the worst. You start with trust. But trust, I eventually learned, doesn't shatter all at once. It decays quietly, eaten from within like wood riddled with termites. The first strange thing happened 2 days later. I was taking out the trash when I spotted a cream-colored envelope in the mailbox. The handwriting was soft, looping, not from a company. My name, Daniel Cooper, written neatly across the front. No return address. I tore it open right there on the porch. Inside was a photo, grainy, clearly taken from a distance. Emily sat at a cafe I didn't recognize, smiling across the table at a man with dark hair leaning a little too close. It wasn't the polite smile she gave strangers. It was the one she used to give me, warm, private, the kind that said she was exactly where she wanted to be. No note. No explanation. Just the picture. I remember sitting on the porch steps as the morning sun pressed heat into the back of my neck, turning the photo over with trembling fingers, half expecting some message on the back. It was blank. I told myself there had to be another explanation. Maybe it was an old friend. Maybe someone was playing a cruel prank. But deep down, something colder whispered. This is how it begins. That evening she called. Her tone was calm, easy. Dad's still not great, she said. I might stay through the weekend. You okay without me? Yeah, I lied. Just miss you. I miss you too, Dan, she murmured. But in the background I caught faint laughter. A man's voice maybe, or a TV. She said she was in her father's guest room. Her father didn't even have cable. When the call ended, I sat in silence, listening to the hum of the refrigerator. Something inside me began to unravel. The next morning I drove 3 hours to her father's house, a quiet place outside Richport. His old Chevy sat in the driveway, but the curtains were drawn tight. No one answered when I knocked. I tried calling Emily. No response. Tried her father. Straight to voicemail. Then the neighbor across the street, Mrs. Grant, a kind older woman, opened her door and waved. Looking for Bill, she called. Yes, ma'am, I said. And his daughter, Emily. Her face softened. Oh, honey. Bill's been in Florida for 2 weeks visiting his sister. For a moment I couldn't breathe. Are you sure? Saw him leave myself. Emily hasn't been here. The world tilted sideways. I thanked her somehow, forcing my voice to stay steady, but inside something broke wide open. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, the photo in one hand and her text in the other, studying them like evidence in a case I didn't want to solve. She had lied. Completely. But why? And who was the man? 3 days later the mailman came again. Another cream envelope. Same handwriting. Inside, another photo. This time Emily stood outside a lakeside cabin, fingers laced with the same man's. He was kissing her forehead. Her hair was windblown, the way it always got after she laughed too hard. I recognized the place instantly, our cabin. The one we rented every summer. The one with our initials carved into a birch tree, where we swore we'd grow old together. That's when the ache turned to something sharper. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to. But some part of me needed to see it for myself before I burned everything down. So I waited. And I planned. By Friday morning, I'd taken the day off work. I drove up to Lake Marston and parked behind a stand of trees near the cabin. It was quiet, just the wind whispering through the pines. Around noon, a silver SUV rolled into the driveway. Emily got out first, wearing the red sweater I'd given her for Christmas. Then he stepped out, the man from the photos, with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her waist like he'd done it 100 times. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. She looked happy. Effortlessly, cruelly happy. They went inside. I didn't storm in. Didn't shout. Didn't break anything. I just drove home and thought. For hours. The next morning I went to the post office, bought a large envelope and printed every photo. Then I added a few more. Ones I found in her hidden iCloud folder. She'd left her old iPad synced to our account. There they were. Pictures of her and him, Ryan, as I learned from a saved contact, on trips she'd claimed were girls' weekends. Paris, Denver, the lake. Then I slipped in one final piece. A copy of our joint bank statement, showing a $3,200 transfer to R.V. Mitchell. At the bottom I wrote one line in blue ink. I hope he's worth what you threw away. I sealed the envelope, addressed it to her office and waited. It arrived on Tuesday. At 1:14 p.m. my phone rang, her voice shaking, breathless. Dan, what is this? Why would you? I cut her off. I wanted you to see it all in one place, I said. The lies. The money. The man. It's easier to understand betrayal when it's printed on paper. She started crying. Please, I can explain. No, I said quietly. You already did. Every time you lied. Every time you left. Silence. Then a whisper. I didn't mean to hurt you. You just didn't care enough not to. I hung up. That night, the house felt emptier than before. Her things were gone, most of them. The air where her perfume used to linger smelled like nothing at all. For the first time in months, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt honest. 2 weeks later, another letter arrived. Same cream paper. Same handwriting. I hesitated before opening it. Inside was a single photo, not of Emily, not of Ryan. It was of me, sitting on the porch that first morning, holding the first photo I'd received. Beneath it, written in careful cursive, she's not the only one who deserved to know the truth. No signature. No explanation. Just a chilling reminder that someone had been watching all along. My pain, my disbelief, my revenge, and decided to turn me into a part of their story. Now I keep that photo tucked in my desk drawer. Not as a trophy. Not even as a wound. But as a reminder that betrayal doesn't always come from strangers, and revenge doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes it just ends a chapter that should have closed long before the mailman ever came.